first I'll say that being in my head is just fun in it and of itself. It's fun. It's fun to kind of play around with different scenarios in my head. Especially when those scenarios play out as I envision them. Like, hey, this is how things are going to happen. This is how this is going to happen, and I just see it, happening that way. And just that, it's kind of just fun, just being in my head, right? Imagination in general is fun to me, just imagining different things, especially because I have full control of it, right? It's in my head. I know what I want to envision and what I don't. It's not like something unpredictable. So INTJs is actually, I'll just speak for me. So I like things when they're predictable, when I know what's going to happen. Again, kind of that lack of spontaneity that we have. I didn't even say that right, but so it's kind of like a fantasy land. It's kind of like a utopia in my head, where I can kind of picture exactly how I want things to happen or to occur, or how I want them to occur, or see how I see them occurring, and that sort of thing. So I have kind of full control of that in my head. In the external world, right, that could be things could play out a little bit different. There's maybe some things that are out of my control, right? And it's satisfying just to think of a vision of how things could be, right? Because for me, it's all about improvement. It's all about, how can I make this better? How can I make that better? How can I make this more efficient, right? And just having that vision, even if it's not reality, just having that vision, essentially brings me contentment and happiness and that sort of thing. So having sudden insights or solutions. So for me, I love having new insights. When there's kind of an aha moment, I get those a lot, and it kind of happens, just randomly, right? There's kind of things where I'm kind of ruminating. How am I going to do this? How am I going to figure this out? What's the next step? About whatever it may be. It could be a problem I'm trying to solve at work. And I'm just thinking about it, and then I kind of let it go for a few days or a few hours, and then all of a sudden the solution will come to my head. So that's really satisfying. And again, just those solutions, right? Those aha moments on solutions is also satisfying, I should say. I'm all about progress and solving problems. I think what I will say is one of the how can I say this? Solving problems is kind of like the root of a lot of this, right? I think that's kind of what I like to do. It all comes down to solving problems, figuring things out. It's kind of like a puzzle, right? We're trying to figure out a puzzle, and just that tinkering and thinking about and ruminating about it and playing scenarios back and forth, all that is really fun to me. The next one is I would probably say is together with TE and FI, because I probably wouldn't put this just on NI, but knowing the vision, right? Knowing my vision, where that's gonna go, and how to make it happen, how to make it a reality, right? Having a plan, having steps. What I like is when people tell me everything about something. So when somebody says, hey, Christian, I have this issue, or I have this question, or I have this problem, and just trying to solve problems just in and of themselves, because it's so fun to me, I'm more than willing to actually help them in that case, in solving their issue, their dilemma, whatever it may be. At that point, I wanna tell them, hey, tell me everything that I need to know. Tell me every detail, every fact, and I will get you the best answer. I will get you the best course of action, right? But you need to tell me everything, because for me, it's not about just knowing pieces of it, right? I can't get to the best solution or to the best outcome unless you give me all the relevant information. Right? So I'm going to ask you to tell me everything. I'm not going to speak. When you're done speaking, then I'm likely somewhere in the middle while the person is talking. I'm already going to have a solution, but I'm going to let them finish. And then again, I'll decide kind of the best course of action for them. And it's going to be essentially very much factual based, objective based, not so much feelings based, right? So just that in and of itself, trying to solve problems for others, kind of like in an objective manner is very satisfying. And so together with TE and FI again, so again, just knowing how things will play out and kind of thinking, so kind of when individuals when other people make decisions, right, and I have no control over it, or my voice doesn't really matter as much, and in my head, the best decision is not chosen, right? So, and in my head, I already know how it's going to play out, right? I already know, oh, you know what, this is not going to go well. This is going to happen. This is going to happen, and then that's going to happen. And when it doesn't go well, just as I thought it wouldn't, it's very satisfying to me to say, you know what, or think about it, at least, not necessarily say all the time, but just think about, I told you so. I just knew it. So it's one of those things where I kind of tend to see how things are going to end up, and just that feeling of just being right, just knowing that this is how I thought it was going to play out, and that's exactly how it happened. That's very satisfying. So, strategizing in and of itself is satisfying. Playing with algorithms, in my head, okay, so if I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, well, this is going to happen. Or what if I do this and this and this, then this will happen. Or what if I do this but not this? Well, that's going to happen. So I kind of like to, again, ruminate those kinds of things in my head, right? Planning, I would say one thing about planning is while I like a plan, right? I like to know exactly what's going to happen, or how am I going to do something. I think planning in and of itself is not satisfying. I think it's more so it's the result of planning. So essentially being prepared, right? So being prepared, and just feeling confident, right? So when I have to present at work or make a presentation or something like that, I plan the hell out of it. I will more than likely for hours and days, on my time off, I will make sure that everything is perfectly planned. I know what I'm going to say. Everything is in order on the PowerPoint slides, for example, so that it kind of will guide me to exactly what I want to say. So, that sort of thing, right? It's all about being prepared and confident, for me. And again, NI together with TE and FI, I would say, those high standards. So I have, as we hear with INTJs and other types, for me, high standards are important. High quality work is important. And just that is satisfying, because I know that I'm going above and beyond than, the normal, you could say, or what maybe other people would do, whatever, however you want to call it, right? I'm all about doing things correctly, no band-aids. And so I inherently know that my work is of higher quality than others would produce. And that in and of itself, again, is satisfying, because I want to stand out, right? I want to stand out in a certain way, not be in a spotlight necessarily, but more so I want to be different. And I think kind of that's one way to be different that doesn't really put me in the spotlight. So now we're moving to FI. How does FI bring you contentment? So I'm very aware of my values, of who I am as a person, my moral system, what's right, what's wrong, all that I feel very strongly about. I feel very secure in that. I tend to act according to my values. So, if I act according to my values, then that brings me contentment. That brings me happiness, because I know that I'm doing the right thing, and I strive to do the right thing, right? Even when nobody's looking, right? So integrity and honesty are very important. So that that in and of itself just brings me that contentment, right? Knowledge, personal growth, and learning are inherently interesting to me. And I would say FI together with TE and SE, taking immediate actions based on my moral system and values. So while I like to take my time to make decisions, right? If I need to take an immediate decision, then I will act immediately based on, one of the first things that comes to mind when I need to make a quick decision is it in line with my values, right? So that's always at the forefront. And if it's not, or if it's questionable, then I'm going to hesitate and I'm going to kind of think about that a little bit more. So a big one is when my ideas are kind of too big, or they're not realistic enough. They're kind of a little out there for most people, and it sucks when you can't implement those ideas. When I can't implement those big visions, I kind of see in my head exactly how I want something to be, exactly how I want something to turn out. But coming down to reality, it's like I really don't have the proper resources, the amount of resources to do it. But in my head, I see exactly how I want it to be. So that hinders, because we can't make those a reality as much as we want to, or as much as I want to. So, and also the if only. So I wrote here if only. So kind of like, if only everybody kind of did something, then we would all be in a better place. Like if only everybody followed the rules or did what they were supposed to do, then the system, or whatever it may be, the outcome may be much better, right? So it's kind of that if only type of I guess phrase, or whatever you want to call it. So it's kind of a negative connotation, right? Kind of gives that negative aspect in my head, but deep down I know that it's not realistic for everybody to do exactly as kind of I envision people to be or to behave. But that if only kind of pops in my head. Ideally, I would want everybody to do the things correctly, in the right way, and that sort of thing. But that's just not the way the world works. So and also on hindering contentment. So also when I know that a negative outcome is going to come as a result of a bad decision. So again, kind of like that knowing what's going to happen. If I know a negative outcome is going to come because of a bad decision, I mean, that's not something that's going to make me happy, right? I just think, it's just a matter of time of something happening, right? It's just a matter of time somebody finding out that this is not going to work. So that can't be good, right? And I would say also, how does NI hinder my contentment? But I would lump this also probably with FI is difficulty, and you could probably see this in this video, is difficulty in finding words to express myself, to others, or, in a proper way, right? Again, I have that, what you hear typically of INTJs and maybe other types of kind of that social awkwardness, right? Like not knowing how to express, not knowing what to say, those kinds of things, right? So I find it very difficult in my head. I know what I want to say. I know how I want to come across, right? But actually coming out of my mouth, that can be very difficult. So what tends to happen is when I try to explain something, I tend to, in some cases, I tend to kind of use many more words and sentences than what a normal person would use, or what other individuals would use, other types may use. And then when I kind of say those kind of long things, the other person just says, "Oh, you mean this?" And they can kind of say it in like 3 words, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I mean. You said it in 3 words. I said it in 3 or 4 sentences. So kind of I tend to have that difficulty at times. I have to think about what I'm going to say. And sometimes we don't have that time, right? So I will say also together with SE, so NI, hindering, contentment, together with SE, I would say difficulty being present. Again, I tend to be a lot in my head, right? Trying to see how I'm going to do certain things, scenarios, things like that. So I'm all about kind of the future and kind of abstract ideas, things like that. So that tends to kind of lessen the aspect of being present, right? Like what's happening right now, right? So I'm trying to actually, making a conscious effort to to be more present and kind of realizing, okay, we got to deal with what's reality, right? And in many cases, right? So I'm trying to do that. So, and I would also say adding together with TE and FI on hindering contentment. When I get too busy planning or implementing my ideas, family, friends, and so on, social life can be pushed back. So, I tend to prioritize things that I can do alone, right? So just like we hear stereotypes or whatever you want to call it of INTJs, yes, I love to be alone. I love to kind of be in my head and ruminate and kind of do things as I please without other people around. So yes, I like to be very much alone and that sort of thing. So plus it's worse being an introvert, right? Because I also classify myself as being an introvert socially, and that just kind of makes it worse. So I feel that I have a stronger moral system than most people, right? And thus usually I don't feel like I fit with most people. Now I'm not saying I'm not saying that other people just don't care about morals or being ethical or anything like that. They do, but for me, I feel that whenever I make decisions, that's at the forefront. Am I acting according to my values, even when nobody's looking, right? That's kind of what comes to mind. One of the first things that comes to mind. So for me, I use NI as an idea generator. It's about generating visions, new ideas, new solutions, innovation, novel solutions, things like that. So all those things help me stay disciplined because I like to try new and improve things, innovative things, and that kind of pushes me forward to try things. Okay, what about people have tried this before and that's worked or not worked or whatever the case may be, but this thing hasn't been tried before, and I'm curious, if I try this, then what would happen? So that kind of helps me kind of push forward essentially. And NI together with FI, I would also say, to help me stay disciplined is I like to choose amongst different possibilities that may pop up in my head on how to do something. I'm trying to choose the best courses of action out of all those. That could take days, that could take months, I could be stuck for quite a while, but basically it's choosing that idea and start to act on it, because acting on it is important, but sometimes it's difficult to get there when there's kind of too many scenarios, too many possibilities, that sort of thing. One of the things here I have is having the me first mentality. So the way I am, it's my needs tend to come first most of the time, opposed to other individuals. That doesn't mean I don't care about other people. That doesn't mean I'm not going to help people or do things for others. I do, but it's just that I need to take care of myself first. My needs need to be taken care of. My health, my mental health needs to come first. If I'm stressed out, I need to take care of myself, right? If my chores need to be done because everything's piling up and I need to have my order and my organization as I usually like to have, then, not having that's going to stress me out. So I tend to come first, in most situations, right? So, I have a need to align my actions with my values. I already kind of talked about that. So just knowing immediately whether a decision or an action doesn't align with my values, I'm going to either decline that action or decision or propose a different course of action. So kind of two main things. One is when there are too many possibilities, too many ways to do something that I can't decide. I always want to know what's the best way to do something. But when there are too many possibilities, it's like, well, which way do I go? Which route do I take? And then what I could do theoretically is plot out an algorithm, right, of everything. If I do this, this is gonna, I'll do this, and then I'll do this. It could go this way. Okay, what about this possibility? Well, if I do this, then I have to do this, and then this. So I could theoretically do that, but it's a lot of energy, and I don't really know if I want to do that. But and what happens is I don't end up making a decision. Sometimes I stay for months, maybe even a year or longer on sitting on a decision because there are just too many possibilities. And particularly when the decision is big, when it's something that will really impact my life or somebody's life. So, and again, kind of like, how does I hinder my discipline? The second thing is, again, ideas may be unrealistic and difficult or impossible to achieve. So, again, having that vision in my head, but not putting having it, unrealistically putting it into practice, that could hinder the discipline and kind of moving forward, right? How does FI hinder your discipline? So one of them is having to make more rigid decisions than most people according to my values. Rigid is the key word here. So rigid meaning that sometimes I have the difficulty in being flexible, right? Or having proposed others. If I think something is the right way to do something or the best way to do something, and someone else comes by and says, no, I have this other idea. This is the best way to do it. I tend to be rigid and saying, no, this other way that I thought of appears to be the best way because of X, Y, and Z. So I kind of tend to be rigid in a lot of these decisions and kind of inflexible, if you will. But I am definitely working on that. So, because I know that can be definitely a challenge and not necessarily desirable, right? And also on FI hindering my discipline is sometimes a difficulty in knowing what I want or choosing from different scenarios because I don't want to make the wrong decision. So this kind of goes back to kind of too many possibilities, not knowing which direction to go because I don't want to make the wrong decision. I want to make the best decision, and that can put a project or advancement at a standstill because I don't know which way to go, right? So it's kind of like where do I go, and then it just kind of stands still, right? So efficiency of systems I have written here, and that's because in my mind, I'm trying to get the most output with the least effort. So I'm all about energy conservation. How can I conserve my energy but still have a high output? So kind of having that perfect balance. And so that just having an efficient system, just clicking a button and having it do a bunch of things, that's kind of awesome. That's kind of the aim here. again, problem solving in and of itself is fun, right? I like to figure things out. It's kind of like a puzzle. It's, I feel like that mental stimulation is necessary, right? And TE contentment together with NI, providing solutions for others is very satisfying. And at times, I'm not going to lie, I do tend to give unsolicited advice. So, providing solutions of higher standards than normal, right? Whatever that may be. And be admired and different. So again, I strive to be different. And with that, with those higher standards, that may come with being admired, right? I like to stand out and get praise. Now, do I need it? I don't need praise. I don't need to have a pat on my back, because I know inherently that my work is high quality because I'm trying to perfect things, right? As an INTJ, I like to perfect things and have things precise and, minimize mistakes as much as possible, things like that. So, I like to have things in a step-by-step type of fashion, right? Kind of an algorithm mentality that I was talking about, this, do this, and then do this, and then do this, right? Sort of thing. Just having the feeling of getting things done and advancing in something, just in and of itself, that's satisfying. Having a clear path and plan. This is the project. This is where we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it, and this is the outcome. So I kind of tend to think of the outcome first of something and say, okay, this is where we want to go, and then I kind of work backwards. Okay, this is where we want to go. And then, so how are we going to get there? And we kind of start planning it out. That's kind of how I work. Letting go from plans once in a while and just go with the flow. So again, I'm a planner by nature, but sometimes it is fun to just let go and not be so rigid and just stuck on certain things and say, this is what I planned, this is what I got to do. So I'm trying to go more with the flow, and that definitely makes me happier. Not in all cases, but in some cases. So, being a planner more than spontaneous. So again, planner by nature, spontaneous not so much, but it can be fun sometimes. Quiet and relaxed atmospheres. Definitely like that quiet time, that low-key vibe at home, or we're at work as well. Relaxed atmospheres. That kind of brings me contentment, right? So again, my SC is kind of low in my stack, so it doesn't come naturally, right? I try to conserve energy. Particularly, a lot of it has to do with social energy. Again, because I like to be alone a lot of the time, I need to conserve that social energy, because I can get drained when I'm with people for maybe an hour or two. So again, except when I'm getting things done and I'm kind of just being very type A, then that's just, boom, 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 getting things done, right? So that's when TE tends to take over when I need to decide on something with a quick deadline, right? I like to normally I would stay in my NI, trying to figure things out and how to do it. But when I need to make a decision quickly, then TE tends to take over because I need to act. This can result in a decision I'm not really fully confident on, right? It's the best decision what I can come up with right now, but if you give me 3 days, then I could come up with something better. So I may not be super happy with the outcome of that decision, because I needed to make it on the spot, essentially. So I would pair this up with TE and FI as well. So when I'm unable to gather all the facts prior to making a decision, again, we talked about how I like to give me all the details, tell me everything I need to know, and then I can give you the best course of action, right? So when I'm forced to make decisions when I'm not ready, that definitely hinders contentment. So by making decisions and taking actions to prevent piling up of things to do and prevent stress. So what happens with me is I use an app called Microsoft To Do. to add things that I want to buy, do write things that I want to do at a specific day or time, or ongoing things or goals or things like that. And if I don't do things and they start piling up on the app and getting a lot of notifications, I get stressed because I know that I have things to do and they're not getting done. So I get stressed. So kind of the stress kind of pushes me to get those things done, I guess, if you will. So, and again, to stay disciplined, automating systems if possible, and seeing with my own eyes the result of my hard work. So, just kind of like I do some programming at work. So from scratch, I have nothing, but building that code and taking days or weeks to build the code to eventually get it to just do what I want it to do when I just click a button or two. That's very satisfying, right? That feels very efficient to me. So creating something that at the beginning I thought was a tall order, yet I was able to make it happen. So again, on staying, well, it's discipline. How does TE help me stay disciplined? So when I'm either given or I start some sort of project where I think it's a tall order, it may be difficult to achieve for whatever reason, but I still kind of push through it, or I still have to do it because it's at work. And then I make it happen, right? I kind of have my doubts initially, but I make it happen. That in and of itself is kind of a discipline, kind of like, wow, I really was able to do this. If I can do this, then I can do the next thing or the next bigger thing, right? So I would say this together with TE and FI. So forced to make decisions immediately when necessary, according to the best course of action at that time. Kind of already talked about that, right? Making decisions immediately or almost immediately. So that can help me stay disciplined because I'm using my SC essentially in that moment. So, trying to perfect a system in terms of efficiency that I get lost in the trees for the forest. So I kind of tend to kind of zoom in on the details and then forget, okay, wait, what was this? What's the bigger idea? What's the bigger objective of this project? I just kind of get zoomed in on the details. And I'm like, wait, why am I doing this again? What is the purpose of this? And I kind of have to zoom out and say, okay, yes, this was the idea. So that can kind of hinder my discipline a bit and kind of get lost, I guess, a little bit in kind of what I'm doing. So together with TE and FI, decisions when decisions are not made quickly, and thus that may hinder my progress. So my preference again is to think about, wonder, ruminate, and so on about what I'm going to do. So if I'm forced to make a decision quickly, then the outcome may not be the most desirable, right? And then I feel bad because I know if I were given more time to think about this, then we could have had a better outcome, right? Or made a better decision, right? So NE, figuring things out and connecting things in the outer world. So, again, comes down to figuring things out, but instead of in my head, it's more kind of an external world. So kind of like I was into Legos a lot when I was a kid, right? A lot of us were probably. I like doing word searches, right? So it's kind of like just kind of, puzzles, figuring those kinds of things out is fun to me. So I like to think of different scenarios and, that are particularly innovative. I like to innovate things whenever possible, right? I feel like I have many things that I want to get started on, but I restrain myself as I need to focus on finishing on what I already started and not have too many unfinished projects. So unlike, I think, some of the types maybe with any dominant that may have a lot of kind of open projects, I tend to kind of stop myself and say no, I need to finish what I have started, and then I can move on to add more things. So and then TI. So on TI, so I think I use TI quite a bit. So I'm always thinking of, whether things or decisions make logical sense. Does it make sense, objective sense, right? And it's basically how I prefer to approach situations. So it's I like that essentially. So and FE, the relating to other people, feeling connected with comedy. So I tend to kind of joke a lot. And building rapport and kind of connecting with people. So a lot of these things don't come naturally to me. Actually, I had to learn, believe it or not, learn how to kind of joke with people, how to flirt, how to really kind of interact and how to have interesting conversations. That doesn't come naturally to me, so I had to really research and learn how to do those things. But I feel more confident in that now. So I feel that relating to others, feeling connected to others, that's definitely brings me contentment, happiness, that sort of thing. So, and on SI, so I tend to be perfectionistic in a lot of things. Trying to do the right the right thing the right way, and criticize whenever things are not done correctly. Detail oriented. I tend to be the person that if you're going to give me something to correct or to look over, you're going to have a lot of red marks, because if you missed a period, or you put a space between your last word and your period, I'm going to notice that and I'm going to call it out. So basically I like doing those things, but it tends to annoy other people, obviously. So for NE, it's, again, naturally I like to figure things out and problem solve, right? TI, again, producing the most logical outcome. FE, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm working on increasing my FE in a conscious manner. Getting, ideas and feedback from others. I'm trying to push that, right? Realizing that I'm able to express that I care about other people, motivate me to keep doing it and to build relationships as a result. Again, a lot of this doesn't come naturally to me, but I know it's important, and it helps me kind of stay disciplined and kind of move forward and learn new things about relationship building and relating with other people. So again, it's difficult to express my feelings and how I feel, right? But mainly I express, caring for other people is through acts of service. So, and with SI and staying disciplined is, if something has worked before, then essentially we can, I can use the same framework for another project, right? But yet I prefer to improve upon it if possible, which is a big driver for my discipline. So, if I'm given something and, like, hey, we've done this project before, this is the plan of the last time we did it, it was a successful plan, just trying to improve upon that, like how to make it better. Well, that's a big driver for my discipline. So with NE, sometimes I need concrete action rather than visions or abstract thoughts. With TI, being too logical can hinder my contentment. I can lose people and kind of what I'm trying to say, which then what I'm envisioning doesn't really get passed on as intended to others. With FE is, again, difficulty relating to others can hinder my contentment. I can feel lonely and misunderstood, feeling like I tend to feel like some people that I've known for years, they don't really know me, because again, I'm an introvert and I don't really share a lot of my feelings, that sort of thing. So SI and hindering contentment, so being forced to do things based on past experiences rather than thinking of novel ways to do something. So again, I'm kind of a novel type of person. I like to approach new ways of doing something ways that people have not thought about doing, right? So when I'm forced to do things, and this is the way we've done it before, this is what works, and you have to go by this, that can hinder my contentment. So with NE, overthinking on possible connections and possibilities, and not taking things at face value. So at times I'm slow to move a decision forward. So we talked about that. So, you know, I tend to overthink on possible connections, possibilities. I already talked about that. And again, you know, not taking things at face value. So, and TI and hindering my discipline, you know, trying to use logic and facts when it's appropriate. Trying to use logic and facts when it's inappropriate, and when the use of feelings, understanding, and relating to others is more appropriate. So, yep, that can definitely hinder my discipline. FE and discipline is my nature is basically to use facts and logic first over feelings. You know, too much FE can lead to decisions that I perceive that may not be the best objective, fact-based decisions, right? And SI hindering my discipline. So, you know, that's when I'm not being happy with what others have done previously, right? So my NI kind of tends to think of ideas and how to improve things, but sometimes we need to move forward with what we have, and I recognize that. So intentionally developing FE, so just being more mindful of how I talk to others, how to relate to other people, and so on. Understanding that others have their own personality and don't necessarily act or think like me. So MBTI is actually, just in general, has really helped me to kind of build that, right? To really understand that everybody is different. You know, being less critical of others or of their work. So I tend to be critical because, again, I want to do things right, the right way, no band-aids. So I tend to be pretty critical, but I'm also now understanding that, hey, mistakes happen. People are busy. It's not intentional. So I'm trying to kind of, you know, grow on that, you know. So, you know, the importance of giving praise, you know, just on its own, right? For, you know, or before giving any criticism. So especially for kind of what I've been learning is, especially for the feeler types, praise can be really important and criticism can really take them down. So I'm trying to kind of really come from a standpoint, understanding the specific person's personality that I'm talking to. So I think that has been a growth path for me. And just kind of letting my mind wander, you know, about new ideas, new insights. I talked about aha moments. All that is just you know, self-growth. Just you know, prioritizing things that I want to learn. You know, I have a lot of things that I want to learn, but I know that I need to prioritize and really just you know, not really start new things when I have 10 things still open, and you know, then it'll be difficult to manage so many things that are open and nothing gets finished, that sort of thing. But there's always that curiosity about the other things. Hey, I really want to start this, but now's not the right time, right? But curiosity is always there, and that little devil is always, hey, you know, you've been interested in this. When are you going to get started? You know, that sort of thing. And the last piece I have is letting go of perfectionism, definitely. So, you know, I'm realizing that things don't need to be perfect. Things don't need to be done right away, or when I say that I'll do them, or when my app says I need to do them. You know, it's okay to kind of push it back, or, you know, things not be perfect in general. It's okay to make mistakes, you know. So I'm definitely working on that. It's a work in progress, but I'm still by nature a person of, you know, high standards for myself and for other people, but just trying to be a little bit more flexible. So that's all I have. I know this is a long video, but I really wanted to plan this out and really give you guys a really good insight as to kind of how my mind works. I'm not really specifically talking about every INTJ. I'm kind of thinking about me, but I suspect a lot of this will be, it will probably relate to a lot of INTJs. Well, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will let you go from here. Thank you.